Hey YouTube fans, this is the Joint Line Rail fan coming to you from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Today we're going to go ahead and take us a tour of the Union Pacific Steam Locomotive Shop. Let's go ahead and start the tour and see what happens.
And off of the roundhouse and the turntable, there's a big circle roundhouse with about 48 stalls. And the 3 stalls on the north side connected with the shop building. And that's where locomotives came in and overhaul. And the bays where they overhauled the locomotives was on the west half of this building. And this section was primarily machinery all over in this area on this side. They, when they put a locomotive in, they stopped it. In fact, the tracks ended to the bays on the west side, and they would dismantle like a big boy. Because this shop building was built in 1919, the big boys were too long if they had the whole engine and front set of locomotive on it. So they had to disconnect that, and they would pick up the locomotive. Oh, they also had to cut off the back of the cab a little bit. So they pick it up. That's how close the clearance was. They pick it up with this overhead crane. It's a 240-ton Whiting crane, and they pick up the locomotive and they move it to certain bays where they would do like reflowing and other types of repair. And when they set it down, they had stanchions, like were parked on top on the boiler end, and then the other end was pretty close to the ground of the concrete. And so that's where they did the work. I think it took somewhere that I recall was around a month that a locomotive would be in here, the big locomotive. Now, we have to think about this on my terms, because when I was in this area, they started reducing horses. It used to be at one time it was around the clock, but when I worked at a yard office building right across from right over here that's now gone, and I would walk through here on the midnight shift a lot because there weren't any workers, but I could see what was going on and observe it. One of the reasons I came in because they had a pop machine that had flavors in it. Our machine over at the yard office only had Coke, so I got strawberry or something. So I came in and out of here quite a lot because if I was calling crews, that was early on in 53 or 54. I had to go uptown to the hotels and knock on the door at 2:30 in the morning and tell some guy to get his rear end out of bed because he was called, and so on. So that's why I came through the roundhouse and the shop and everything. I'd start right there at that door of the existing roundhouse and go completely around and then come into this and then go out that door on that end. So let's see, they stopped the last big boy locomotive was shopped in 1956. I'm talking about heavy class repairs. And that's what they did in this shop was class 3, where they really tore them down. If it was some light repair, they could do that sometimes just in the roundhouse. All done.
So what we have here is we have our modern machine shop area right here. And we've got pretty good machining capabilities. You can see Austin, he's one of our new machinists. He's working on a Bridgeport mill. He's making some various dies and fixtures for our superheater rebuild project that we're working on. We've got some vertical turret lathes, a press brake over here that we'll walk by, a couple of big metalworking machines, various lathes, a nice complement of drills, reamers, taps, dies, various other machines. But we're constantly upgrading. We're always kind of adding to our complement of hand tools. I jokingly talked to the guys and said, lucky for you guys, I like tubing. So I like to machine, and I really enjoy seeing them making anything we need. And that's kind of our new strategy, is that we want to be able to have as much in-house capability as possible. We currently enjoy wonderful support from our leadership. And that's a blessing when you consider the state of our economy, when you consider what's happening in our economy around us, that we are still able to do what we do here to the level that we are. That speaks to their commitment to the Heritage Program, which is part of our role as public relations. So let's walk right around this way. Everybody just follows me. Senior Vice President, recently retired. And here we have our new crew. For those of you that remember Lynn Nystrom, we did put his in memory of Lynn. Lynn was a wonderful, wonderful man, a close personal friend of mine. I worked with him on the 844 from 2004 until 2010, and just an outstanding man. I always kidded with him. I said he reminded me of John Wayne, and for those of you that remember Lynn, I mean, he had a certain demeanor, but he was just a real joy to work with. This is our new staff, Henry Krenning, Mary Nystrom. She still serves as our chief volunteer. She is just an outstanding person, and without her we would be lost in many respects. She really helps out in the souvenir car. She's here today. We've got Rod Qualls. He's a through freight engineer. He works on our mini train. And myself, Ted Schulte, he's a steam locomotive fireman. Austin Barker, machinist. Brandon Turner's a Boilermaker. Kurt Clark is a steam fireman, steam locomotive fireman in training. And then down on the bottom we have Jim Leonard, Brent Malota, and Bruce Kirk. They three serve as volunteers when we're on the road. Jason Bruckner is another through freight engineer, and he works with Rod Qualls on the mini train. Jack Holland, machinist. Bryce Allen is our new passenger conductor. He holds seniority as an engineer conductor out west. Don Creer, Boilermaker. Charlie Cross, machinist, and Carolyn Miller, our admin. So this is our new staff, UP staff. Up here you see some of our drum heads that we put up there from last year. Last year was a record year for UP Steam. As everyone remembers, we celebrated the 150th of the UP Railroad. It all began in 1862 with Abraham Lincoln signing the Pacific Railway Act. So they had us traveling all over the place. We had a minor problem in Texas, but other than that, we enjoyed a wonderful year. 16,692 miles in 1 year. And I had a strategy to make it through the year. And I started out and I was going to tell everybody, give them a play-by-play on where we're going and what we're doing. And I started to think about it. Wow, this looks daunting. And it looks impossible, really. When you would put it out, I mapped it out on a calendar. And I'm like, I don't think I want to approach it like this. So I just piecemeal it along. Well, we're going to go here, and then we're going to go there. And then, okay, we got a little bit of a break. Okay, now we got Frontier Days. And now we've got this. And now we've got that. And then the grand trip was an 80-day trip, 78 to be exact, when we would go from the east, from Iowa. We would overnight here, actually 2 nights, which was uncommon. When we go to Cheyenne, we're done. We tie up, the engine comes into the house, and we're done, and we take some time off. We didn't do that. We were here 2 nights, and then we started going west. We were at Ogden, then we were in Sacramento, and then we had to do a 31-day inspection on a steam locomotive. And that's a comprehensive amount of work to do in the field. In addition to that, prior to that, we ended up having a problem where we derailed trying to get the thing into museum trackage. So, despite all of that, we were in the field for 78 days on the very last part of the 150 celebration. So we all arrived back here happy, healthy. We were still friends. I mean, it was an amazing, amazing year. But that speaks volumes about the dedication of this crew and the dedication of our company, that they would support that type of sustained operation in the field. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, in the days of steam locomotive operation, even the modern 800 class engines would have to get into a roundhouse sooner or later, and they're going to need some running repair. and they're going to need a proper boiler wash in a facility. We gave it a proper boiler wash out in the middle of a museum in California. And we did what we call a hot wash. And that's kind of a new strategy that we're employing to really take care of the boiler. Typically when you wash a boiler, you have to have such a high volume of water. The only practical way is to hook it up to a fire hydrant. Well, how cold is that water? And how hot is that boiler? And how big is that boiler? And over a period of time, if you continue to do that, you're going to impact the boiler. So we devised a way. I say we, I mean they did. I'm a fan of General Patton, and General Patton once said, don't tell the men how to do the job, tell them what to do, and be amazed at their ingenuity. And nothing could be more true about this group of men and women. So I'm over there, and they show me this little setup that they rigged up, and it works beautifully. We could hook it up to our boiler car, hook it up to a fire hydrant, and we could regulate. We could get 150 degree water flushing out of that thing, and we could wash that boiler just beautifully. So just an excellent, excellent trip. Wonderful historic travel year, except for our situation where we had the problem where we flattened the drivers on the steam engine. Other than that, and even with that, when you consider the time that we were down, it was just an amazing year. As you can tell, I get excited talking about it, but it really